Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Rich from the Hard Compound, and welcome to the latest episode of the Hard Compound Live. I run and operate the Hard Compound. We're a one-stop shop for all things motorsport, four wheels, two wheels, three wheels sometimes as well. And we can be found on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search for the Hard Compound on any of those platforms and come along and join us for all the good motorsport stuff that we like to bring you. We usually put out 3 posts a day. These are written articles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They're normally put out in the morning, at lunchtime, and in the evening here in the UK. And we cover everything from F1 to IndyCar, from like British Superbikes to MotoGP, to rallying to NASCAR, and everything else in between. So do come and give us a follow on all of those platforms because we'd hate for you to miss out. As you might have noticed, we also do live video interviews such as this one. These are streamed just as we are now on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. These are also automatically recorded and saved in the video section on Facebook and in the live section on our YouTube channel. And we're also in the process of putting the audio onto podcasts for you. So we'll let you know when that happens. So you can download them and listen to them on the way to work or whatever you like to do. We've had some terrific guests, well over 100 now. I won't name them all. We've been very honoured to speak with legends from the four-wheel and two-wheeled world, the likes of Mario Andretti. We've had Mr. Jackie Ix on here. We had Chip Ganassi recently and Hans Stuck. But but if you're tuning in tonight, you're going to probably like your bikes. And we've also had Mr. Terry Reimer on here. We've had Shane Byrne. We've had Christian Idden, Ryan Vickers, James Toseland, and many others. And we have a legend joining us tonight, both from the British scene and from the global scene. He is a British Superbike champion. He's raced in what is now MotoGP, in Grand Prix, and in World Superbikes. And he's had a fair bit of success over on the Isle of Man in the TT and the Max Grand Prix. So we've got some fantastic stuff to talk about this evening. So let's get cracking. Without any further ado, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Mr. Rob McElnea.
Good evening.
Evening, Rob. How are you?
Very well, very well.
Good. Well, thank you very, very much for coming on and having a chat. We've been trying to get this over the line for about a year or so. And that's I hold my hand up to that. It's been me. It's been very hectic, but we finally done it. So thank you very, very much for coming on.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I've been drifting around the 80s all day, getting ready. So let's go.
It's never a bad place to be.
No, well, Thursdays for me is a big driving day. I do the tennis taxi room with my daughter. So I've had 3 hours of Christmas songs, and she knows every word to every Christmas song, albeit not in much tune. So I'm pleased to get away for a few hours.
I was just going to say, I'm sure it's been an absolute delight. Because you've been out in Norway for tennis things, haven't you?
Well, we had it planned.
Few weeks.
No, we had it all planned to go to Norway with Harrison. But we sort of semi-forgot that he was getting his braces on. So he got his braces on a Thursday, and then he was eating soup through a straw pretty much for 2 days. So we didn't end up going.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, so, he's got a nice smile coming now.
Well, happy days. which is the main thing. We like a big smile. Right, guys, just before we get into this, thank you for those who are putting the comments in the comment section already. If you do have any comments or questions for Rob, do pop them in the comment section, whichever platform you are viewing on, and we'll try and work them in. But we've got a lot to get through, and it's going to be great. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I guess the best place to start, Rob, is right at the start. Where did your love of fast, noisy things come from?
Well, it's hereditary. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I think the parents were involved, but my dad raced. He came over from Ireland in the late 50s and raced in the UK, quite successful, and then stopped for a long time, got his business going, and started again, and with a young family dragging along. So I was one of those annoying kids racing around the paddocks on the nifty 50s and stuff. So it was just always going to happen, really. So most of my summer holidays or any weekends was just dragged around the circuits in England. So eventually it's all going to happen that way, you know.
Yeah, it was always on the cards.
It's funny because I was thinking that about today, and I remember going to Cadwell with my dad really young, and I remember seeing Ron Haslam jumping on Terry Haslam's old Norton Commando going up the hill. And then I saw something this week where Leon's now got his kids flying around the farm. So it's like 4 generations. I've seen 4 generations come through, for that.
Wow.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And just on Liam, just on Leon, sorry. I think he caught a few people by surprise this year. I think there was a team was put together in the BSB, but I don't think anyone saw him going quite as well as he has done. Which is fantastic.
I don't think he'll ever underrate what Leon's going to do. He's a serious fighter and grafter and makes it work. And somehow he's a proper Sunday morning man. He'll make things work.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the bike's been very well set up. So yeah, very cool. But so when did you start thinking I can really have a go at this and maybe make something of it? Because I'm guessing you always wanted to.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was one of those where you start. I mean, I rode off-road forever when I was really young. So, and I was mad for bikes. It's just all I used to think of all the time. And then we started thinking about racing at 16-year-old. I was waiting to get my license, to be 16. I had to turn 16 to get my license. And then for the year before, probably about a year before, I was crapping myself. I think in the whole year I was crapping myself about going racing. I'd get my dad's leathers on and just, move around the house with my dad's leathers on. It was about a year being nervous about going racing. Wow. But then eventually it happened. I bought a 404 road bike and back in the day, I don't know, it was just such good fun. Never really had a long-term plan. Just the guys get together at the weekend. We never even had a plan where we was going to race. We'd just ring up on a Thursday night and try and get entry somewhere and just take off. It was brilliant, really great fun. Yeah,
wow,
no real plan. Just stumbled along. I think my whole career was a bit like that, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a great way of doing it. So just like saying, right, we're going to go racing. We don't know where, but let's go and have a great weekend.
It was like that back in the day. Like just a gang of guys we'd club together and we bought an old crappy van and just set off on a big adventure. It's brilliant. Really, really mega fun. Best times ever.
That's fantastic. I guess there's no sort of pressure from sponsors or anything for results or anything like that. I mean, you want to just go and do it for the love of it.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you actually you just went racing on your road bike. You just rocked up, changed a couple of bits, and off you went.
Well, not quite, because it was a complete standard road bike, and literally it was just take the number plates off and have a go. We didn't really know. No one knew what we was doing. I mean, we've been around with my dad and so on, and so we knew basically what was going on. But it was just pretty, and I wasn't mechanical at all. So it was just let's just have a go, boys. And it was just such a ball, really. We had a complete standard bike and a Honda 404. Like thinking back now, it's such a slow bike, but you could ride the wheels off it and never let you down. It was just just such a buzz.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess once you've got the bug, it's bitten. When did things start getting serious though? When did you first start to get maybe some people helping you, some people on board, buying you little bits of kit or something to really help you push on?
Yeah, well, we didn't. Yeah, we weren't. My dad had his own little business, but we were far from sort of wealthy, and everything I had. I mean, I was just thinking that I had that Honda 4. I bought it from a local shop in Scunthorpe, and I was still paying for it. I think 2 years after I'd flipping written it off, and I was so it was a bit like that a bit in the early days, but. We moved on to Yamaha and started a bit of success at club level and then a bit national level. And then just totally lucky. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys like this. But the guys I was racing with, so many guys better than me. And the 350 class, I had a 350, private 350. And the 350 class back in the day was fantastic. And at the club meetings, you go to any club meeting, there was probably 3 or 4 heats to get into the main event and every heat's like 40 bikes. It was just, and the level was intense. It was brilliant. And I was okay, and I was sort of making progress, but there's so many guys much stronger than me. Peter Wilde, Peter Rubbard, Alex Pierce Jones. It's just like, there's probably 10 or 12 guys who should have got a break and they didn't. But I was so lucky that my family got involved. I had a friend called Frank Gallen, who was my early sponsor, and he was a lovely guy, an Irish guy, friend of the family, and he had a quite good business in Scunthorpe, steel erecting business, fabrication business, and he got behind me, and there's no way I would have got through without Frank, and he stuck with me. We arrived at 350 for the first year, and I think he saw the size of me and thought, Rob, we need a bigger bike, I think. So we ended up buying a 750. We bought 750 TZ from Grahamwood. It was our local hot guy, and that was amazing as well. Going to see Woody and buying this bike. It's a Fowler's, a Bristol factory Yamaha, and it came in a big box of spares. It's so exciting. I'm so excited that we bought it in. I think we bought it in like November, and I was desperate to ride it. So I entered my very first race was Croft Plum Pudding race, Boxing Day race. And we drove up to Croft with this 750 Yamaha. I mean, now we talk about 750 Yamahas, and it's like, my God. I mean, I've actually got one in the front room, and it still scares me as I walk past it now. But the first race was going to be Croft in Boxing Day. And I was so excited, loaded up, got in the van, got up there, and it was freezing cold. Boxing Day, freezing cold. They actually had cones on the inside of the cones where there was puddles, but it was ice. So they had cones there to go ride, make sure you didn't touch the ice. It was horrendous. But I was so desperate to ride this 750, cracked it up, and he cracked the thing up, and it was like, I'm thinking, Christ, what have I done here? It was such a scary thing, just the way it sounded. It was. Anyway, God, I shit myself all day. It was flipping so scary. I survived anyway, but I crashed my brains out that year. I couldn't master it. Crashed it everywhere. I was crashing out of like flipping 15th position. I just couldn't, it was a bit too big a step, and I wasn't really smart enough. And I said to Frank that, I'm wasting your money here. You put a lot into it, and it's not really happening. And honestly, if he just said, well, okay, Rob, that'd have been the end of it. There was no way I would have got through, and he didn't. He said, "Come on, let's have a real good go." This is the end of 81, I think it was. Come on, let's have a real good go. Let's have one more push at it. And with that, I stopped smoking. I got fit. I took it seriously, and came back in 82, and it all just took off. The very first race, I started mixing it with Barry Sheen and Roger Marshall, Ronnie, and I think I finished the big international at Cadwell on the podium, and I was like, I do not know how that happened. I mean, I worked over the the winter, and it was like, well, if Frank has got that belief in me, I've got to throw everything at it, and train my heart out, and flipping lost loads of weight, and it all just clicked, and so somehow it just clicked. Like, I don't know what I don't really know what I did. It just, but all of a sudden things sort of slowed down. I mean, I think when I was trying to get through, you're trying too hard and you're risking, you don't really know what you're doing. All of a sudden it all stepped back a little bit, and all seemed to go a bit slower, and all of a sudden it was like coming quite easy. It's like, oh, bloody hell. Wow. So that was it. But without Frank Gallen from Scunthorpe, there's no way I would have gone any further. That would have been the end of it in 81. So thanks for him. Thanks. Yes, we stayed a bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that was a mega year as well, because I got the Yam going, and I ended up having he got into it, and we got a 350 and a 500. So loading the van up, I had a 350 and a 500 inside the wheel of the wheel arches, and the 750 in the middle, and every single thing I owned in this Volkswagen transporter, and off it went. So I ended up doing a 350 race, 500 race, 750 race, and then an RD Cup race as well. I had one guy warming the bike up in the warm up area while I was doing another race. So brilliant time.
That's fantastic, and we hear that so often. There's the story of like and then I met so and so, and it happens so often. And as you
totally.
Many people, there's one person who either puts the faith in you, or puts a bit of money in, or does something, and as you said, you feel like you need to repay the faith in them, and it just
totally.
And it just goes from there.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, he was a good friend of the family, and he's a big road race fan, so he'd come over for the races in Ireland, and he'd love that. And I used to do okay there, so that was a real buzz for him. And I won the TT, and back in the day, you could take the big trophy home. So I took the trophy back home to Frank's house in Scunthorpe, and he loved all that. So that was brilliant. You know, a lovely, lovely guy.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. And you mentioned, you know, going over to the TT and everything. I read or saw somewhere that road racing wasn't really on your radar. You were sort of looking at, you know, like the short courses and the elbows out type thing, you know, BSB, etc. But you ended up, was it 79? You ended up, was it the Manx GP or was it the Junior TT or was it? I can't remember.
No, it was the Manx. 79. Yeah, it's the Manx.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never. I went to the TT with my dad. He was a big fan. He used to go as a holiday and just sit on the banks and love it all. But I was never like John McGuinness, who just totally fell in love with a TT, and that's all he dreamt of. It was never like that. And I just loved scratching around. You know, Cadwell Park is where I grew up, and just all that. That was all I was interested in. But it was a friend of mine, Charlie Thompson, who did the Manx in 78. Just for a bit of fun, and he's a really nice guy, but just a club level sort of national rider, really nice guy. And he said, "You know, I got the Manx. It was great fun." And he just got you thinking, and that was it. Really, it was never like, "Oh, I need to do a TT. I want to be a TT winner," or it was never like that. But then the thought of doing the Manx, and we said we was going to do it. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's getting serious now. And like back in the day, and I've told this story before, but back in the day, you'd get your entry form and you'd post it off, and then you'd wait. It'd be ages before you knew if you was in or not, because the entries, there's hundreds of people trying to enter, so you might not get in. So you send it, and then the entry form will come back and you're in, and then you started crapping yourself. It's like, oh my god, I'm really gonna go.
So I've actually got to go and do this now. Yeah.
I know, it was like that, and it was another story. I mean, again, just a young guy just having a bit of fun, and I loaded my dad gave me his Marina pickup when I passed my test. Wow. And I had a Marina pickup, and this was my race truck. So on one side of it, you're probably too young to remember a Marina pickup. But on one side I had an RD 250 because I was going to go learn the track, and then the other side I had my TZ 350, and then everything I owned in the middle of this thing. Honestly, there's no way. If you set off anywhere now, you would be pulled over and stuff. The thing was, it was driving like this, and I had a tail lift. Tail the pickup down with the bike hanging off the back, set up 62 to get on the ferry. Anyway, so yeah, but loved it, absolutely loved it. Just the whole buzz and the excitement and the nervousness and the camaraderie. Once you get there, we got set up in these garages. Charlie, who'd been there before, he met a lot of people. We set up in these garages behind. I can't remember. He's on the front bit and just set back behind the hotel. And, and there was probably about 10 of us in this big double garage, like a bus garage. And there's a load of paddies, and there's loads of guys in there, and the crack, it was absolutely amazing. And then just the whole experience of 6 o'clock early morning practice, setting off, up at 4:30, getting your bike ready. You rode your bike from there through the streets up to the paddock. It was just such an amazing experience. Totally loved it. And then I was a little bit hooked. Then I was really lucky because all the way through I picked circuits up really quite easy.
Right.
And I just fell in love with that, and I treated it with a lot of respect. But it just clicked. I just clicked with it, and I think being a big guy, I was always way too heavy, and especially way too heavy on a 350. But the TT, if you keep it flowing and you sort of work out where you're going, and you make the most of the fast sections, you can really work it out. So.
And I think Peter Hickman has used that to his advantage, isn't he? Because he was always a big chap, Peter Hickman.
Hickey, yeah. But you look back at Hickey and David Jeffries and the big guys, really fast riders, ever so fast riders, and when they get somewhere like that where they can keep the thing rolling, then the true level comes out. But, so I was hooked a bit there.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, was it 79? I don't want to remind you of this. Was it 79 in? Or was it a bit later on? I can't remember. You had a 30-second lead, might have been the junior TT, and you just.
Why do you have to remind me of them sort of things?
I know. I just saw the
so
story.
I'm nearly over that. I'm still not quite over all that.
Oh, I've opened up an old wound.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was just again I was flying, and I honestly, I never really had a scare. I never really went crazy. Crazy. I don't think I needed to. I was later on in my career. I was pretty sharp on the short circuits, and I could go there and back off a little bit. But even then, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And I remember getting a 30-second. I think it was at Parliament Square. I got a 30-second lead. I'm like, bloody hell! I started thinking of a victory speech, thanking my crew, thanking the catering staff, and then I came up my hill and Whitegates, and everybody knew it was like a washboard. It was the ripples and the tarmac was terrible, but everybody knew about it. And so I went up there and I just wasn't thinking, and the front folded, and the bike. I mean, it's quite a scary corner. Luckily, the bike, because there's a big wall there, and that's have a gate open. I think there, but there's a big wall in the side of a gate there. But luckily, the bike went straight up the middle of the road, and before it stopped, I'd sort of caught it up and picked it up. Even thinking now, jumping back on it and just setting off, I never even given it a second thought. But the next section, if your handlebar broke or something like that, my God, the thought of that. But I didn't think of that. I just ran and picked it up, knocked the brake lever down, jumped on, and set off. And then I still didn't go that hard. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, this is the trouble. Stupid Bob. I didn't even go hard. Then his cruised back, and then I lost by 2 seconds. To Roger Luckman. If you're watching this, Roger Luckman, I've not fucking forgot that. He's a Scouser.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. It was a mega experience, an unbelievable experience, So, and then I got the bug a bit then.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in a comment we got, I'm like Darren, we've got like Darren Thipthorpe here from RI Helmets, and he said not many races win the TT, they'll have a brush with the law. We're going to come to that.
Okay. All right. I'm just getting a text here. I'm getting some texts here. I've got Keith Ewan. I thought it'd be something worse than that, but it's not bad.
No, Keith said he might tune in tonight. So Keith, come on, have a chat. Come on, have a chat. Also, Terry Reimer said he might as well, so we'll keep an eye on it. I know all the old crew are in. One thing I did see again, I'm going to get off the misfortune thing, because obviously firstly, you guys that do well at the Isle of Man TT are just absolutely incredible in my eyes. Just the guys who go out and do it, the speeds and everything is absolutely phenomenal. Just very quickly, I saw in 1981, I read this somewhere, you broke the lap record from a standing start in 81. Apparently so. There you go. Apparently that happened.
I can't remember that.
But was it 82? You went up to from the junior to the main TT, the big.
Yeah.
The main
82. I think I missed 8. I don't know. I missed 1 year, but the 82 I went.
Yeah.
My 82 was my big year when I broke through. I was sort of bashing fairings with the factory boys. I took Roger Marshall off one race at Donington, so I laid dead for a few minutes till he walked away. But yeah, 82 was the year I was sort of breaking through, and we had to go to TT with the 750 TZ there. So a little bit of a cock up that year, to be fair.
Was that the refueling issue?
Yeah. I like to blame the pit crew, but I can't really. It was one of them where, it was, and I've been really lucky. I've only ever ridden a couple of races in the rain in the roads, and I definitely wasn't up for it at all. I did one at the Northwest, which is horrendous, but the TT came, and the race day was a bit iffy. So there's some parts of the track which were damp, and some bits were okayed and under the trees, and it's like, oh. So I set off, and I was doing all right. I can't remember where it was, but I set off and did the first lap, and you think, right, I know where. I'm starting to know where the damp parts are. You can have a bit of a go, and so I got into it. And then the next lap, I thought, right, really, there's starting to dry there, and I just came through. And my pit guys, a guy called Don Briggs, who worked at Star Garage in Rugby, a really, really good engine tuner, and I had my little team based there, and he was there this year, and he was pitting for me. So They've seen the light go out at the signpost corner, and he's got the fuel hose over his shoulder, and he's like that, and he's like, was that him? And he's like, so. And honestly, I went to Kurt Michael before I ran out of gas, and I never even knew then. I mean, I still thought I was on the wrong lap. I didn't have a clue what lap I was on. And I even stopped at the petrol station at Kirk Michael and pulled over, and it's like, don't know what's wrong with it. I didn't even look in the tank. There's no way I didn't think I was running out of petrol. So Don came and picked me up like 2 hours later. And Don, what happened to the bike? Because he built the bike, and I'm like, what the hell happened to the bike? He says, you've flipping. Well, I can't say it. Can we stop back?
Yeah, go on. You say whatever you like. It's fine.
He says, you didn't fucking stop. I'm like, what? You didn't stop for fuel? I'm like, so, and that was it. I was so engrossed in the track and trying to work out, remember this, and I just went flipping. I got quite a long way though to go back.
That's quite a way
around.
Yeah, it's
quite a way around, but yeah, pretty embarrassing. The next year, you should have seen the pit balls I had got last year. There were obscenities on them. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's something you do once, don't you? But it was. I think I was up in the top 3 or 4 then as well. So that's why I was pretty pissed off.
Yeah, just one of those things. I mean, we'll come to the following year in the pit wall and stuff. Just take a quick sidestep though, because at this time you were, doing lots of like circuit racing and stuff, and you worked your way up and everything like that. It was around the time you were sort of knocking on the what is now MotoGP door, the Grand Prix door. How did all that come to be? And I remember seeing that you got on board with like Suzuki, and you went out to a race in Australia and did a few bits. And
well, again, nothing was really planned. I think the TT, we'll chat about it a bit later, I guess, but the TT was always sort of stepping stone. I mean, I think going back a little bit, like I say, 82 was my breakthrough year.
Yeah,
when I started to get noticed as a privateer coming through. There was the factory guys, as Honda and Suzuki, and that's where if you got a chance to ride for a factory team, one of those two was a go. And ironically, I'd had a really good year. I was sort of the next man to the factory riders as a privateer. So, ironically, I was talking to Honda, and I really thought I was going to get a chance at Honda. I mean, I got a decent few chats. I can't remember who was there, but Roger Marshall was at Suzuki, and he'd won everything that year. It'd been amazing. And it was a foregone conclusion that, you're going to be at Suzuki. So I was talking to Honda, and we went a long way down, and I really thought it was going to happen. I thought I was going to be in red, and that's weird if that could have happened, because like Gardner was there, and whether that if it ended up being me and Gardner on Honda, I don't think I'd ever got to Grand Prix, because Gardner would have been the team. Anyway, as it happens, literally at the death, Roger went to Honda. Roger took his number 1 plate. He won it, and it was quite a bit of a shock at the time, because I think he was, everybody thought he would stay at Suzuki, and so did I. And then he swapped to Honda like a really late stage and left the door open there. And then Suzuki came to me, and we got talking, and that's the way it went. But it was looking like the other way. Really, it was a really last minute thing. What happened?
Right. It's just like a combination of circumstances.
Sliding doors moment. Yeah, I don't know where it might have gone. I've probably done bugger all if I had Gardner as a teammate. Right, I was probably either beaten him up or gone. But yeah, so it's a bit different. But then I was thinking, I'm digressing a little bit now, but when I was thinking there that I got a Suzuki contract and went down to see Dennis Rowan at Heron at Crawley, and that was mega. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my factory jackets and the bike, and I'm meeting the team. Dave Junior Collins, what a great guy! He was my right-hand man, and so I was so excited about all that. And I had a chance to do a promo with Yorkshire TV at Cadwell Park,
right, in
early March. So I'm speaking to Suzuki. Well, can we do that? He said, "Well, you can do it if you want to come and fetch the bike." So I'm going to transport. No, can't do it. If you want to try and do it, come and fetch the bike. So I'm like, okay then. So I jumped in my Frank Gallen Yamaha van and drove down to Suzuki from Scunthorpe, where I am, and it was a York TV were doing a promo at Cadwell Park in, I think it was like late February, early March. So I went down, picked the bike up, and Junior Collins, and we came back, and he got this beautiful XR69 in the back of my van. It's like, oh, this is the start of something special. And we're heading back to Cadwell, and the A1 at Grantham is a really fast roundabout. I used to be really quick through on my van, and I said to Junior, watch this, I'm quick through here. So I went through this roundabout, and a lorry pulled in front of me, smashing the side of my van, pretty much ripped my van off. The XR69, my brand new factory bike, I've just picked up upside down in the back of my van. I'm like, oh my God, what a start. I started my factory career. Anyway, so I know that it was broke up. So Junior's picking his bike up the back of the van, and we sort of shed a few tears and sort of get it up. We get a higher van, limp to Cadwell. We get the thing. It's snowing at Cadwell. We do this feature, but that was my first baptism with the factory bike. And luckily, we're still friends, and we had a good year. But the start didn't start great, I have to say.
Wow,
the van was getting off a go.
Oh, no.
So I just remembered that today when I was thinking of stuff.
Good Lord. But
Junior Collins, what a great guy he was. He was so good for me. And again, it's like you say, having the luck of finding someone to help you and give you the break. But then, as I've gone through my career, I've had so many great guys around me, teammates, team personnel, mechanics, stars. Every step I've had some really good guys. So super fortunate. That's been good.
Yeah, it's the people that make it sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic. But yeah, everything got smoothed out by the end of that, despite it all. Just look at 83. I think you came second in the TT F1 sort of championship, around at the time. I did actually see that you came second to some chap called Dunlop. Joey Dunlop. I guess if we're going to be talking about the Isle of Man TT and racing and stuff, we've got to just quickly mention the Dunlops because
you can't quickly mention Joey.
But they're
you can't quickly mention Joey. You've got to talk about Joey. You can a bit of respect there.
They're just absolutely incredible. I mean, obviously Joey himself, but the whole family are just incredible. What they've done for all forms of bike racing, aren't they? I mean, it just absolutely incredible.
Well, he was the man, and the TT Formula One was only 3 rounds then. It still meant something to the manufacturers, not quite as much as what it used to, I think. And Joey was the man. So it was a 3-round series that year. It was the TT, Assen, and then and it finished at Dundrod.
Oh,
so
wow.
fairly favourable towards Joey. But it was, again, that was just a fantastic time. I mean, I finished second to him at the TT, which is it was my first. Well, it was my first TT with Suzuki, which again was amazing. And I've told the story before, but going there as a privateer and looking through all these posh hotels and seeing all the factory boys having the dinner and all the factory gear, and all of a sudden I'm one of them. It's like, oh, wake up, So we did all that at the TT, and I managed to get on the podium as well behind Joey, which was like, this is okay. And I was riding on the short. I was riding the short circuits pretty sharp. I mean, Joey, you never know what you really got with Joey. He's just unbelievable. I mean, the roads, everybody knows what he was. What he's just there's another level on the roads. But the short, people seem to forget about the short circuit prowess, unbelievable. And on his day, flipping up the inside of Gardner, and he's just, but he's a little bit. You don't know if he was going to get that Joey all the time, but it was amazing. I mean, we went to Assen for the next round, and I loved Assen. I've been there as a privateer and really clicked with it. And I thought that, and I was really flying on the short circuits on the big diesel. And it was me and Gardner going for it, and Joey weren't doing that much. I don't think he was doing that much on the short circuit, but he turned up there and they built him this 920 Bull, this big V4 thing turned up. He's full. I don't think it was an easy spike to ride. It was a bloody weapon. They want the easy spike to ride, and so Assen. I thought I'd have a chance at Assen. I thought TT Ulster. It's going to be tough to get past Joey at either of those two, but Assen I might have a chance. We had the most amazing race. Honestly, I still get hair standing up thinking about that race. I mean, it's so many years ago, but it was when Assen was Speed Week, and they would have a European Championship in the preceding week, so that would go all through the week. And then the Grand Prix would start on the Friday, and not Thursday because it was a Saturday race. So there's probably you're there all week, and race day comes, and I kid you not, there's over 300,000 people there. It was unbelievable, and it was the old circuit, so it's a full 7-mile circuit.
Yeah, the long one. Yeah,
the long one, what heads off into Assen, and then it zigzags through these. Are you allowed to say dikes? Ditches.
They're called dikes, aren't they? Come on.
They're called dikes, aren't they? Yeah.
Let's not be silly here. Go on. Yeah.
So and it just weaves through them. It's a fantastic circuit. Wow. And it's such an amazing race with him. And he was flying. I'm on top of my game on the short circuit, and here he is. He's a little bit of a part-time short circuit guy, really, but here he is. So anyway, I did him on the last lap. And so we were all equal on points after that race. But that race, the race was amazing because the crowd were going mad. The crowds were all pissed by sort of 10 o'clock in the morning. So they changed. And we're the warm. I mean, they love the big diesels over there as well, the Dutch, and they love the road circuit, and they love Joey. So the fans were going mad for our race. So that was such a buzz for me. It's the first time I've experienced things like that. It's brilliant. But then you finish the race, and you literally just go across the start line because it's like a 7-mile loop, and you couldn't get back. So you literally go over the start line and stop, and park up. Everybody parked up. So we'd all stopped there at the end, and we're giving each other a bit of a hug and all that. You take your helmets off, and you're pushing your own bike back, or someone kind of come down, and you're pushing your bike back, and there's like 30,000 people there going mental, and like me and Joey are like, just what a memory. It's fantastic. And then the end of the day, we both went around the back of the pits and watched the 500s, and Joey turns up in his Jesus sandals with a bottle of Pacino, whatever it is. I couldn't get on that with him. He beat me at that on hands down. But yeah, brilliant. And then we went to the final round was so all equal on points, and the final round is Dundrod, and I love that track as well. That was scary. It's proper scary, but I loved it as long as it didn't rain. So Friday practice, I put it on pole and did really fast lap. Put it on pole, and then race day came and woke up in the caravan. Flipping rain back on the car, and oh Jesus, it absolutely pissed down. And I thought, I'm not up for this. Anyway, I got the whole shot. I remember now, I got the whole shot, and the first corner is like a 50 gear, really fast corner. And I sat up and rolled it off, and Joey went past me. Literally, never saw him. By the time I got to Leeshamstown corner, where there's a big long straight, you could just see his like trail, his misty trail in the distance, and I was like, not bothered. And every lap. Are we swearing? I'm allowed to swear or not? Are you?
Yeah, go for it, whatever. It's fine.
So literally every lap, I was in running second. Granty was meant to be helping me, protecting me, but it didn't matter. I couldn't beat Joey. So, but every lap I came around this one section, there's about 40 Joey fans in this lay-by. And my visor was steamed up. All I could see was, you wanker. That's all I got. I got that every lap. And every lap is like 4-minute lap. And you're coming around, you're waiting for the abuse every lap when you come around that corner. So, there's no way you're going to beat Joey that day, so he took the title that year. I was still a rookie, if you like, and it was brilliant fun.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic! I love that. Love them. And I'm going to put this. I've got my I've got my T-shirt. If you haven't been there, folks, go. It's a
box ticket. It's a box ticket. Definitely.
Oh, it's incredible. I went with my dad in 18, and it was that race where they had something like, it was ridiculous. It was a record number of overtakes.
Yeah.
People go.
Well, it's not. He's still. I don't think he's as good as what it used to be. Even the new track now is not as good as the other new track, and then our track was fantastic. But the atmosphere was mega. It's flipping. I mean, mayonnaise and chips. That's all they eat all day. The mayonnaise and chips and drink beer.
I've never seen so much mayonnaise in all my life. It's just on the floor, it's on the ground.
And then it's like, I don't know, there's like flipping 100,000 beer cans flung in the dikes at the end or wherever.
Yeah. You can't see any water.
They have a good party, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was incredible atmosphere, terrific place, and obviously just go back to go back to Joe. He's got his statue, rightly so, and yeah, it was a real shock when he was lost, wasn't it? But
yeah, well, yeah, really sad times. Well,
right.
for the family, it's a bit of a sad story. The family, but
Oh yes, yeah, we've lost a few of them unfortunately, but
he was there. Just honestly, just another level, just such a laid back guy, super smart guy, but such a laid back guy and so fast. Say so underrated on the short circuits. Really, I think if he really wanted to do like what I wanted to do, he could have done it, but I don't think he was bothered. He'd rather do his own thing. When he got his factory on and it wasn't really working, he managed to convince HRC to let him take his bike home in the back of the shed, and he's flipping chopping it in bits, and it worked. And it worked for him. He's a flipping clever guy.
Wow,
but
proper guy, and
I still couldn't understand what he said. I don't think I ever got. I needed subtitles when he was talking to me. I couldn't understand him word for word. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Super character.
Brilliant. Yeah, no,
serious.
lovely.
He's got some loyal fans as well. So some serious fan base.
Yeah, and they're still out there, and they're still selling T-shirts and still doing stuff. Still going strong, which is great. No, that's lovely. Thank you for some great memories. Love that. Just wanted to very quickly talk about your Grand Prix debut at the Salzburg Ring. Now, a circuit that doesn't get mentioned often. It's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I've not actually been, but I've seen it, and it's
yeah,
it looks fantastic. What a place to make your debut.
Well, yeah, that it was just. I mean, I think if we jump into when was that 84? I think it was 84, wasn't it? 84. If we jump into 84, it's just amazing, just absolutely amazing. I had such a fantastic time. Are we talking Grand Prix now? Then are we on 84 Grand Prix?
Yeah, we'll nudge on to Grand Prix.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that year was just like unreal, and again, I'd done well at the TT, and I was desperate to get the 500. Then I think the TT for me then was like a stepping stone. I didn't really want to, I decided in 84 that this was my last one, whatever happens. I never ride for it. In 84, I never ride for 85 or anything, but in 84. It was my last TT. Whatever happens, I'm gonna, I've done well. I've enjoyed it. I don't want to do any more. But then 84 came, and Suzuki literally pulled out in 83. So that was Randy. Well, flipping it, there was loads of them riding in 83, but Randy was the main guy. The team was built around Randy, so they pulled out, and then the whole team was there. They didn't, like I could not have been lucky other than the bike was a bit old, but I inherited full factory Suzuki team of all Randy's cast stuff. And to be fair, by the end of 83 year, there was using stuff out of the scrap bin to keep him going anyway. But they pulled out, and then they were left with nothing. They didn't really have any sponsors, and didn't really have a plan. But the team was there all together. So there was Mike Sinclair, there was Matthew Ogborn was running it. That Gary Taylor was sort of managing. He still managed to get it all together, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And Suzuki were pretty happy with what I'd done, so I got a chance to go Grand Prix with this small little team. I mean, it was Randy's old team, and it was mine. And we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of money. We just made it happen. But the guys were brilliant. And again, it was one of those times where I had no pressure on me at all. In fact, the opposite. It was like, what the hell? What's this big guy going to do on this bike? It was just like, and it was one of them where, I'm going to try and prove people wrong, or I'm just going to ride the wheels off this thing and just see how it goes. And everything clicked, and I was so happy. It was such a mega environment with some really, really great guys around me, and we just set off. We didn't have a lot of money. I was a sandwich making man in the. I would go make food for everybody. I'd go out to the shops and get provisions and make dinner for all the team. And then it was just us. And we just set off and went to Salzburg and clicked with it. Again, like I said, I picked up tracks quite easy. And those Amco barriers didn't scare me. I've just come from Bray Hill. They didn't faze me at all. And just as soon as I got on that track, I just totally loved it. And the whole Salzburg experience. There's not many people have done what. I mean, I know Keith Ewan's watching my, but there's not many people have done what we've done, as in go to Salzburg as a rider and sit in that paddock and have that atmosphere. Honestly, I can't tell you what an experience it was. It was unbelievable. You go there from Thursday and you get on the bus. I think in the early days, I didn't really shit myself that much because, it's a brand new track. I think I think the years after, you shit yourself more because you knew what you was coming to, where the first year you didn't really know. You got there and you loved it. It was brilliant. And then by Sunday night, you're thinking, oh, you've made it. And then you're quite happy to drive out without a load of bandages on and stuff. But I think at the time, I just totally loved it and I clicked with it. And I had that old Suzuki, it was past its best for sure. But I was a young kid, pretty brave, rode the wheels off it, loved riding it. And I could just do quite amazing things on it. And I think you can when it was super handling bike, beautiful handling bike, and it didn't really have a lot of horsepower, so you can just, take the piss really. So Salzburg shouldn't really suit me because I was flipping 3 stone overweight. No, I wasn't overweight, but I was over the sort of racing weight. And all it was that you go down to the bottom of the hill, turn right, and then climb up a fairly steep hill. To be fair. So it shouldn't really have suited me, but somehow I pedalled it round and I got on the front row. It's mad. It was totally mad. I'm in Salzburg. I'm at Salzburg Grand Prix, biggest race of my career. And I'm here and I'm lined up between flipping Eddie Lawson, Paul, Freddie Spencer. I'm lined up next to Freddie on this little old shitbox Suzuki, some ginger bloke from Scunthorpe. It's like, what the hell's going on? But then
like, got here.
I know, but honestly, you end up walking around and like people pointing at you. You can sense a pointing at you. Look at that freak! That's that freak who's on the front row. You felt amazing. You did feel amazing. But the whole Salzburg thing was brilliant. I mean, you wake up on race day morning at Salzburg and you're in the middle of a bowl, natural amphitheatre, and it's like 200,000. You come out of your caravan door and it's like, oh my God, there's 200,000 people there and there's bugles going off and people with static engines revving nuts off them all night, It was unreal. And it was unreal. And I finished fifth in that race, which was, again, like on total cloud 9. I talk about it was mad, yeah. And as I say, my little team, we packed up, and it was just such a you're floating on air. We packed up and then went straight to. This was like talk about like purple patches in people's careers. It's some Valentino's purple patch maybe lasted like 10 years. I don't know, Mark Marquez's. Mine lasted mine lasted about 6 weeks in 85, I think it was, in the middle of 85. A purple patch, and it started at Salzburg. Then I went to Nürburgring, again, a brand new track. No one had been there. And I clicked with it straight away. Put it on the front row again. Crashed in that one. But just like, honestly. And then the team, this is the 84, when the team then packed up. I'd crashed the bike, which we were happy about. And it was full of it. Actually, the circuit was brand new. It was like a brand new strip of tarmac around a flipping muddy potato field because it rained constant for months. So there was no grass, nothing, just like mud and tarmac. And I sat into the mud and I came back. My bike came back totally blathered, and I was the hose piping me down. And they had to get the bike ready. Then I flew. I literally flew from there to the Isle of Man. It was the middle of the Isle of Man.
The Nürburgring to the Isle of Man.
Yeah. The guys had to get the bike ready and drive to Douglas, and I got on a plane and flew over to the Isle of Man, where Junior Collins and the GB team were there waiting for me with the big diesel. So it was amazing. It was an amazing time in my career, the best time ever for sure. It got, as it went more pressure pot, the few years coming on, as I look back now, and I think they were the best times ever for sure. Just my own little team, no one expecting anything. Anything you did was like, a bonus. So nobody was earning any money. It was all just doing it for the love of it.
Wow.
But it was just great, lovely team, really great team to be around. Great
Brilliant.
time.
And being that sort of, being like David versus Goliath type thing, that kind
Yeah.
of, underdog, no pressure. But just saying that you went from the Nürburgring on the GP to the Isle of Man TT. Now, I mean, I was just thinking earlier on. I mean, I think I put a thing out. I think it was on Facebook, and I said, can you imagine someone like like Pecco Bagnaia or Fabio Quartararo or Marquez or someone going from wherever it might be, just have a quick go at the TT? I mean, there's no way.
Well, I was never as good. Never going to be as good as them anyway. But, but just in the middle of a GP year to go and do that, I didn't really think anything of it. To be honest, it was part of my contract to do a TT. I was still looking forward to it, even though in my mind I hadn't told anybody else. But in my mind, it was my last TT, so there was a little bit of nerves about this is my last one. I don't want to tempt fate type of thing, but it was part of the deal. So. Flew back to the Isle of Man. The GB team were there with all my bike. Dave Collins and all the guys there waiting with the XR69. I love that, and I love that bike. And just got on with it. Then the 500 guys turned up with a battered bike, which they had to rebuild, and did the TT, and I managed to win both the races that year. So it was pretty. Like I say, that was the end of my purple patch. So it started in Salzburg. Because after that, I flew from there to Ricard, had a massive crash, and it was like wake up. It was like all the dream had ended just like that. So, but yeah, the TT was fantastic again, and pretty nerve wracking that year because the year before I got on the podium. No, I'd got on the podium in F1 and I won the classic, so I was going as the man to win if possible. Joey was there. Obviously, all the regular guys.
You're now a factory rider, so.
Yeah, exactly. So a bit more pressure on, but everything clicked again. It's just the 500 was brilliant. I say you ride that bike and you can just ride the wheels off it. And I'm qualifying on the front row of Grand Prix, so I could back it off a bit around the TT and still be handy enough. So that was Are we talking TT now? So we talk about that 83 TT because
and then we'll go back to the GP bit in a moment. Yeah, absolutely.
We can jump around, can't we?
Yeah, of course we can. It's no problem.
500 the 500 was lively, I have to say. Although it was a great deal of horsepower, but it was the Grand Prix bike set up. Then it didn't really change anything for the TT. We just arrived, maybe softened off a little bit, and just took off. But it was a bloody ever so lively thing to ride. And the big diesel was fantastic because you could just hook a gear up and let it cruise and use a bit of torque. With a 500, you're just flipping on it all the time. And then that race was a crazy race because it was me and Joey, and we're both going. I think the first lap I can't remember what. Someone will find out and get it, and I'll be wrong. I know I will, but the first lap we were really quite close. And then I think I don't know. But anyway, I tell you, what happened in the end was Joey skipped a petrol stop. So by the last lap, I got a sign saying -30 or something. I'm like, Jesus, if he's going that fast, he can have it. And I'm happy to finish in second. And then and we were going. I was breaking a lap record one lap, and then he was next lap. So we were on a really good pace. And then I came round like it was late in the afternoon, sun going down, used all my tear-offs up, all my screen was my visor was covered in flies and stuff, and I just came round the Blackcoat and the sun was going down and fogging up, and I could just see, and I couldn't see very well, to be fair, I had to lift my visor to get something steaming, but I could just see what I thought was a yellow helmet sat in the side of the road. And I'm like, no. And I lifted my visor up and it cleared, and Joey was sat there and he gave me a wave. I'm like, you are joking me. So I didn't know what had gone on. I think he was trying, allegedly later it was a Honda crankshaft problem, but I don't think it had any petrol in it, that's why. but yeah, so then it was like, oh my God, from cruising, thinking second will be great, to all thinking Joey's out. We've been leading now by a chunk. then all of a sudden you hear your bike falling to bits. You know, you didn't hear anything before, and I've got like 5 miles to go. I can hear the thing rattling, and it sounds like it's going to go lead. And,
something's going to.
Yeah. So I literally wanted to freewheel down to the Craig and just make it home. But so I managed to win that race, and then I won the Classic as well.
Wow.
Fantastic year, brilliant
Wow.
TT, and then called it a day. Literally I managed to got a private, just sound a bit posh, but I got a private flight out to Gatwick and then flew to the south of France. And then when I was leaving, I said to the Suzuki guys, and there was a couple of the organisers, I said, I don't want to come back. That's my last TT. And that was it. Then it was like such a relief. I mean, I managed to win both the races.
Yeah.
And I got through it okay. And that was it. I don't want to go back again.
It was
and I loved the place. And I loved it. And I still love it. But it was just, timing for me was great. I'd done what I wanted to do. Didn't need to really keep going back, and I wanted to go Grand Prix racing. So it just opened the door for me. So it's brilliant.
It was just like you'd done it and you'd survived, because obviously, unfortunately, lots of people don't survive it. But yeah, you got it and you've got the win. Oh wow, that must have been incredible.
I know, like I say, yeah. So I had a 6-week purple patch, so I'm living off that for the rest of my career.
And why not?
I know.
And why not? Just quickly, someone that it was mentioned in the comments, you had a bit of a brush with the law. Now, it's not as bad as it sounds, is it? This whole incident with the police. It's just a little fun and fair, I thought. I know,
yeah. Well, at the time, I know. Going back, I mean, I think it was. I was dropping. The story was I got up early, and like the year before, this is 83. No, it's 83. Yeah, the year before I missed my fuel stop, so I had a plan for having 3 or 4 pit boards all around the track, making sure stupid Bob doesn't make a mistake again. And so I was to get up early, and me and my girlfriend at the time get up early and drop off a couple of pit signalers, one at Ramsey and one at the bungalow.
Oh yeah.
And so, but go around early on and have a look at the track, see what you like. So I had my Opel Manta Berlinetta with me then, and which I loved. It's silver, red leather, red cloth inside. It's lovely. 1800, yeah. And so we set off with 2 big blokes in the back, and set off having a look at the track, and dropped the first one off. Maybe I can't remember the gooseneck, and then went round the mountain, and the guy at the bungalow said, "Oh, they're closing the road. You need to sort of think about getting off." I'm going, "Oh, Jesus, all right, okay." So I dropped the next guy off at Windy Corner, I think it was, and I went down to the Craig, and Bobby there with the white hat and all that, and all the crowd are all said, because I was, the race was, it's still an hour, 2 hours away, so I thought I had plenty of time, and the police guy stops me, he stops everybody, and he says, "Off the road, sir." I said, "Oh, no, I'm in the race." He says, "Pull over there and go down the back road. You've got to go down the back road. This road's closed. The race is starting. The road's closed." "I'm in the race. I'm Rob McElnea. I don't give a fucking monkeys who you are. Get off the road." So with that, I'm looking at my girlfriend, going, "If I go around the back way, I'm never going to get back to the pits in time." So I reversed, and then put it in first, dumped the clutch, and the guy jumped over the bonnet, and he slapped it. And I feel fucking immature now, but I wouldn't have made the race if I didn't do it. So I dive bombed the policeman. He jumped over the car, dived. I saw him in the rearview mirror rolling around, and the crowd were going mad. They were loving it. I went around Craig the Bar and set off down Brandy's, and they're all going mad. And the police guys opened. Anyway, so I got back to the paddock and hid my car around the back, and I said to the Suzuki guys, "Bloody, I was at a bit of a moment there with the police guy. Nearly didn't get back." And they're going, "Oh, anyway." So went out onto the Glen Country Road for the start, and they're doing the interviews. Peter Nielsen was interviewing us, so I just have to say now that I apologised to the police up at the Craig. I was out of order there, but there's no way I could get back. I had to go through the police stop. Oh, okay. Anyway, chat. Anyway, I went and won the race. Forgot about it. And down in my hotel, the R10 on it's called the Rio actually, but the paddies call it the R10. So anyway, so I'm in there having a big session with all the paddies and all that, and the police come banging on the door, and it literally dragged me outside. I'm like, "Geez," put me in the car, and then give me a roasting, but then just say, give me the well done and all that. But they went through the motions of, of dragging me in the car and giving me a bit of a worry. But so yeah, the Manx police couldn't spoiled my victory race.
Well,
So then maybe if I hadn't done that, I would definitely not got back to the race, and then I would have got sacked by Suzuki, and I would never have won the race.
A risk worth taking, I think, but it would have made a good chapter in a book.
I know.
If it had gone the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's great. It's great stuff. Just to just to skip forward. I mean, you said that was the end of your like TT career. You'd done it, and you were focusing on the circuit racing, on the Grand Prix, things like that, and it was all going rather well. And you had a few options, as it turned out, for, was it around 80 or 85, something like that. And there was a test you did with, was it with Cagiva out in Italy, I think it was. You had there was an opportunity to go and join them.
Yeah, well, 85 was a mega year again with Skull Bandit. The Skull Bandit, we got a bit of a sponsor for that year. The same team.
Yeah. Superb looking bike, that one.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was.
Loved it.
Not very health conscious. No, I don't think I get away with it now. Gary Taylor managed to land that sponsorship deal. I don't think it was a great deal, but it was enough to get us going, and we looked great. And I think he was trying to get more from America. But that team was brilliant. It took a turn. It took a turn for the better, I guess, where we had a couple of mad scientists that year. There was Nigel Leaper. Turned up and we built the honeycomb aluminium box frame, and it went on to carbon fibre in the end. But I rode the honeycomb one, and it's brilliant. It's just another amazing year. The little team just doing stuff with Ray Bailey from AP, or developing carbon discs with a single mounted disc around the a rim mounted disc on the bike, which was crazy, and the new frame that we was designing. The trouble was the engine was too old. It was way past its best, and the bike wasn't really that competitive. But we had such a great time with it, and I think it gave me a chance to ride something like way over the top. I think if I had a lot of horsepower, I would have probably maybe not done as well. But at the time, I could ride this thing way over the top. And I started to get noticed. I started to get some good results. I could always qualify pretty well. I think again, the size won't help in race when race day came. But if I had good grip, I could go pretty fast, and I would always qualify well. And then that got me noticed. And then at the end of 85, again, that was a brilliant year. I took the team back to the Northwest. I mean, again, still doing Grand Prix, and we go back and do a road race in the Northwest. That was amazing time as well. But it got noticed and got my name out there. And I say, there's not a load of new guys come every year. And I think at the time, I'd made a big impression the year before at Salzburg and Nürburgring. And then I'm with this team for the year, and we got a full year in. And everybody knew what level the bike was, so I think I did get a few options. Cagiva was one of them. At a time when Cagiva was still pretty new. I think they've only been 3 or 4 years developing the 500, but a great set of guys. Again, they were sort of like a family-run team. The Castiglione brothers were super passionate, and they loved it, and they were really keen on me. I think they talked to a few people, but I was probably quite cheap and young and up for it, and there was So, I mean, it was another surreal time. They flew me down to where they're flying. I flew into Bologna Airport. I think they picked me up in the private jet, and then they flew me down to Rimini. We did the test, and then they took a private jet to the track, and then we ended up with their private helicopter. We ended up landing at Dionysi to go meet the leather guy there. Oh, yeah. It's just all surreal, it was all really weird. And then went to Rimini, tested the bike. It was pretty good to be fair. It was difficult because Rimini in winter is super slippy, so he couldn't really do much test. But he got a good feel. It was stronger than the Suzuki, I think. Anyway.
Is it being out by the coast as well? It's sort of quite damp air and gets slippy.
Well, there's snails. There's millions of tiny little snails I was like riding around thinking, what the hell? I couldn't. And he actually got off and looked, and there was tiny little snails everywhere. Like you nearly could crunch them, and he was trying to ride your bike. So I didn't put a brilliant test, but got to meet the Castelloni people, and I went back with them to their place and stayed overnight there, had dinner with the family, and it was looking like it was going to happen, to be fair. And there was a good offer, good monetary offer, and it's like, and then I got a phone call from Mago, so then it all changed. Oh. Yeah, so it all changed. And again, that was all just really weird.
Wow.
I talked to Mago a few times, and he'd probably tried other people in the paddock first, and they're probably too expensive for what he fancied. And then maybe I wasn't the first choice, but got a phone call, and it's like, is this a wind up? Is this somewhere like get a phone call in my little bungalow in outside Scunthorpe, and it's Agostini ringing me up. And I'm like, wow. I thought it was a piss take originally, and then
I'm not surprised.
And it was Ago,
and then you expect.
Yeah, before I know it, I'm flying over to Paris to see him, and it was weird. Again, he's flipping Agostini,
one of the greatest ever,
Yeah, and he's a big hero. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I went to see him at Cadwell when he came to Cadwell years ago, and here I am sitting down talking a deal with him, and he's never not going to happen. He could have offered me a bag of pasta, which it was pretty much a bag of pasta anyway. But I was going to ride that bike. I was desperate to ride that bike.
Wow.
Yeah,
his Yamaha was the bike to be on at the time.
Well, Eddie Lawson, for Christ's sake, I'm going to ride alongside Eddie Lawson. So serious pinch me moment. I don't really think I got over that my whole career. To be honest, it was weird. I think I was so in awe of all them boys.
Wow.
That I don't think I'd done any better if I was more of a ruthless type of guy. But I was definitely had a lot of respect for those legends. The guy. Eddie Lawson, Freddie Spencer, those boys. You should have been following them, the high handlebars and the big number plate in America, and all of a sudden you're lined up next to them, So it's all it was all a bit weird.
That's
amazing time.
Incredible to go there. I remember I saw something where you said you were at a test? Was it out in Brazil? And you had your Marlboro sweater on, and you were looking at yourself going.
Well, it's just
obviously, no disrespect, but it was one of those things in your mind. It was that you never thought was ever going to happen.
Exactly, yeah. It shouldn't really happen to guys like me. I didn't think, but yeah, it's like our first test was in Guyana in Brazil, and we all flew out together. I think that year there was me and Eddie and Luca Cadalora and Martin Wimmer. So and then we're all sat there having dinner at night, and I goes holding court, and and then the next day I'm going to zip up my new Marlboro suit and cruise out the pit lane on my brand new YZR 500. It's like, wow, oh my God,
dream come true stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's like all the year before, I'm trying to hang on to these bikes. I'm going, if I got one of those bikes, just give me a chance on one of those bikes. And it's like, hang on a minute. Now I've got one. It's like, bloody hell, I better try and deliver now, So the pressure was on a bit now. It changed from being like the underdog with no expectations to now getting possibly the best bike on the grid. And you've got to go and do the business now. It's all a bit different. It's not fun, not that much fun anymore.
Yeah, it will get a bit serious.
Yeah, definitely.
But to be teammate to Eddie Lawson as well. Absolute, an incredible rider and and a legend in his own sort of right. Did you guys get on well to begin with?
Yeah, I got on really. Yeah, no, I think I was one of the few guys who did get on well with him. I think for obvious reasons, I was never going to beat him, but I was pretty good at most things, but not as good as him. And I was really easygoing, and I got on really well with him. I actually went and did a pre-season. I was about 2 months living with him in Upland, just outside. So I went and trained with him for 2 months. So we got to be quite good mates. And Yeah, like I say, I was never a threat to him, but I was, we was good crack, and we had a good time. But really great guy. Again, not the guy you see, what the public see. The guy I knew was a different guy, but amazing on the bike, unbelievable on the bike. Just to be that close to him and to follow him for a few laps, it's just amazing.
Wow. Just sort of from my memories when I was very young, from the footage I've seen and everything, just a very different riding style as well. I mean, it was kind of the Americans seem to ride differently to the Europeans, say.
Well, I think
a corner or something.
Yeah, when the 500s started to turn nasty, they weren't made for European riders and English riders. They weren't made for us. I think the earlier ones, like the 125, 130 horsepower Suzuki I was riding, the Europeans could ride them. You could ride them the European style, if you like, which is super crazy high speed corner speed, big abuse of the front tire, and big clean angles. When they turned nasty, you couldn't ride them like that, and they were built for the Americans and the Aussies, the guys who were growing up on the dirt, and the guys who could spin the rear tire and didn't rely on the front tire like we did. And as they got nastier, they got harder to ride. I think really looking back, I think myself and the other Brits and Neil Mackenzie and those guys, Christian Sauron, they all come through the European route of super high speed, super corner speed, but we couldn't really get to that next level what the Americans could do, and the Aussies, and when Doohan turned up and Stoner, those guys are just another level, and they could ride those bikes pretty much safe as houses. They were nasty pieces of work, but mainly it was those guys getting caught out. The guys who were trying to ride them, we hadn't worked the next style out of how to spin the tire and how to get off the front tire. When I rode with Eddie was like, fucking hell, Rob, you can't ride like that. You've got to get off the front tire. And I would run with him, and you'd nearly run in the back of him going in anywhere, because like I'm going into corners with my eyeball stuck on the inside of my visor, the back wheel in the air, and trying to turn it in. He'll brake from 10 or 15 yards earlier, and then toss it on its side, scrub the speed off, and spin it, and then he'd be gone. And it'd be totally safe as houses. He'd never high side, or he might wash the front out maybe, but very rarely. Where I'm flipping jumping over the handlebars every week. I'm either folding the front because I'm going crazy clean angles, or I'm trying to do what he does.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the side of the tire too much, what a numbskull. I couldn't work it out. I couldn't give up the entry speed. The entry speed was where we all gained time. All the European guys and whatever. We were so brave going into corners, and we'd try and keep the corner speed up. But eventually, the tires would go off, and you couldn't ride like that. That's why I could qualify well and whatever. I think when I had the grip. Yeah. But as soon as the tires went off, they were even faster. The American guys, where they could keep the same lap time. It didn't affect them at all. They didn't need a front tire like we need a front tire. It's totally different style. So I think we did okay, to be fair, to hang around as long as we did. But once they calmed them down a little bit later when they went to big bang engine and stuff like that. But still, it's all a different way of riding the bike. I think like nowadays it's electronics, so they're all back on the front tire again now. It's all crazy front corner speed, crazy lean angles, and they've all got electronics to look after them. So I miss McElnea a bit now. Probably 30 years too late, I'd have been all right.
Yeah. Just you were just ahead of your time. That's it.
I was always
pioneer.
It was always. I don't complain about anything, but I was just too heavy. I couldn't do much more. My best racing weight was about 13 stone, and I think looking back now, if there are all these nutritionists and stuff around there is now, I probably could have got a bit more, but
sure.
He's still going to give away 20 kilos, 25 kilos to these guys, and like I say, for a one lapper, I wasn't too bad. And if he's rolling, if the bike was rolling and these sort of fast tracks, I was okay. But as soon as the grip went and stuff like that, I was struggling a bit.
Yeah.
And I used to, and the bike used to get hammered. I used to flipping go through front brakes more than Eddie and stuff like that. So it was. I think the whole career I had to ride over the top, right. And I think that's why in the end I was like, full on. It's about enough of this now. So I retired quite early, and but yeah. So and the 500s they had to ride, way over the top all the time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. It's for those sort of non-riders among us, it's that kind of thing that we kind of don't appreciate. Just those little different changes, quarter speeds, things like that, and how it affects the bike and the tires and everything else. And
well, I never like I say I was too heavy, and I always ended up if I had to try and outbrake anybody, I was always like, I don't know, 5 yards back. I never managed to get alongside someone and do a normal braking maneuver where you could just ease alongside. And I was always like, rah! My eyeballs sticking out. Ooh. So, eventually, doing that for a few years, you're pretty much on the edge most of the time. So, hence the 500 fingers and things like that. So you got,
Yeah, sure. Just a couple of sort of bits, a couple of like memorable races. Unfortunately, there was one where it was at Monza, and obviously it ended unfortunately. But that was probably one of your best races, wasn't it? The one at Monza. Unfortunately, they got the timing boards wrong and everything, but that must go down as one of your best rides, given that you were right on it and up against who you were against on that circuit. Yeah. That must have been pretty thrilling.
Yeah, I totally love Monza. Again, it was like a fast flowing track, so there was no real slow stuff, so it didn't really affect me being heavy. But I just totally loved it. I clicked with it straight away. But that race, I don't know why do you have to bring that up again?
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? But it's just.
But that was just fantastic a race again. I mean, going to Italy with Ago's team and the Marlboro Yamaha. It's like, I imagine it's like being a Ferrari driver. You get there and the fans are mental. Ago's such a legend, and it's the whole occasion's amazing. But that race, all that year there was the A team, which was like Eddie and Gardner, I guess, and then the B team, which was about 8 of us, and it was Saron, it was Baldwin, and it was De Radiguez and Raymond Roche and Ronnie, and a good school. And that race in particular, I was really clicked, and I had a fantastic battle with Ronnie, Mamola, Saron, Baldwin, and was all slipstreaming. It's a real slipstreaming track, and you come out of the last corner at Parabolica, and when you came out, the pit boards, all the pit signals come out, but the track would go in double. You join the old track, so you drift over to the left hand side. You're trying to find your pit board, and look, you couldn't really see it, so you were relying on a massive big lap score at the grandstand as you came past the start finish line. So it come out of the last corner under the bubble, and I was like fourth or something like that, and it was like 1 lap to go. So I thought, right, this is it. So everything clicked, and I went down into Parabolica with Saron, and we're doing a brake duel, and he was a demon breaker anyway, but he was. So we went into the Parabolica, and I just waited for him to brake. Well, I actually sat up and kept it. I remember clear, kept it full gas, but I just sat up like that, and he hit his brakes, and I kept mine on a fraction longer. So I beat him in the Parabolica. Somehow got some grip. Second gear, third gear, fourth gear, got some grip. Buried under the screen, over the line. Yes. 1 more lap to go. You fucking joking me? So they all came past. Randy, Baldwin, they all came past again. I thought, you're joking. And like, can you imagine you've done all the work and like my first podium, and it was, oh my god. So then it's like, oh my god. So fired up again. I was 5th, and I got past Baldwin, I think, again into 4th, and I went to get up the inside of Randy, and I just flipping high side. Out of the last chicane, Ascara chicane onto the back straight, high sided and splattered myself, and I was like, oh my god. And I and so I never got on the podium, and it was just like.
Oh.
It was such a sad day. My God, you know, it was so close. It'd been tough because that was 3 or 4 races in to that year, my first year, and it wasn't quite clicking. And I was like, oh God, and I was so desperate to get on the podium, and I don't think I didn't fuck up because Ronnie ran out of fuel, and on a slowdown lap, and a few others were struggling. So they definitely I got the lap scoring wrong, and it cost me my only podium.
Oh.
But it was just like, he just like that was such a tough Monday morning getting going again. After that, you can imagine and like back in the day, everybody got on really well. There's so much good camaraderie, and like Christian was coming around, and I was like beside myself. You know, I couldn't believe what happened. I didn't get injured, a bit of skin off. But I was flipping proper sad. Took a bit of getting going again.
No, I can imagine. And the initial cause of it was sort of out of your control almost. You're looking at you've got a lot going on, and you're looking at something that should be right, and it's not.
It was just not fair, you know. So yeah, missed the podium. A podium at Monza would have been pretty special.
Yeah, but what a fantastic atmosphere!
It was, the racing was just wow. It was one of those races where, although you wanted it to end, you were loving it. You know, you were third, you were sixth, you were in the mix of it. The people come to the inside of you, and it's like you get a good line into a chicane. Some twat just does you in there, and it ruins your exit, and 3 come past you. Oh, but it's still one of them races where you're totally loving, when you're in the middle of it. So, such a shame. Never mind. Yeah. Never made the podium.
Yeah, it's another thing I did see from just doing research and bits and pieces. Back at Assen, you had an argument with a seagull.
You're really pissing me off tonight.
There was another one recently in a recent race, probably a few years ago. We had Keith Hewan on commentary and seagulls.
Oh, I know, yeah. That was
seagulls get everywhere. There's no need, is there?
Well, Assen, that was another one. I mean, have we got time to talk about this story? Because this is proper sad as well. I'm crying in the shower again.
Assen, again, I don't want to dwell on sad stories. We don't like them. We want happy ones in a minute, which you're going to come to.
I can't remember which one this was. I think this was one where Eddie crashed out. I can't remember. Anyway, I was having a mega race, and I think Eddie and Gardner had gone, and I was battling for third. And I had a comfortable third. I had a good. Baldwin was fourth, and I had about 5 or 6 seconds on him going into sort of last couple of laps, and I went into the chicane on the second to last lap, and flipping nearly overshot. And I'd be brake lever back to the bars, and I've just said, "Oh, jeez, my brakes have gone." Fat Bob's flipping knackered the brakes. So you don't need to brake too much around the other section. I was pumping the brake and getting a bit of it, and I was in third position, and I slid like 3 or 4 seconds down the back straight, tried to make the back straight. That wasn't too bad hard braking. I thought I've just got to get through the chicane, and I've got to go back one more lap. Sorry, I have to go back one more lap. So I'd started the second to last lap. I came round the left-hander before the chicane, and I had a 5 or 6 second lead on Baldwin, and this biggest seagull you've ever seen came out of the stands. It seemed like it came out of the stands, and I hit it square on my chest. Oh. And Baldwin said, "God damn, looked like a duvet gone off, man." But this fucking seagull, and honestly, it just hung on, made the chicane, and got going, and then say the next lap, my brakes started to go off. Oh. And anyway, the last lap, I thought I've just got to make the chicane. Baldwin's behind me. He's caught me up a bit, but I'm in third. If I make the chicane, all I've got to do is get through the chicane, and I'll get to the finish line, and I'm third, my first podium. So I brake a bit earlier. It's on the bars, and it's flipping, screeching virtually. I'm pumping it. And I just make the first chicane, run a bit deep, and mess at the exit. But I've made the chicane. So turn it on the gas, get over the front of the bike wants to wheelie, second gear, third gear, under the bubble. Unbeknown to me, Baldwin had pulled it back, squared the corner off, and he'd gone around the outside. If I'd known he was on the outside, I would have put him on the bloody grass. And literally, I I got to the finish line, and he just cruised past me by half a tire. It was like, I can't believe it. This is just like, another like, again, so close to a podium. That I just, oh my God, it took me ages to get over that. I sat in the shower flipping in tears for a long time. It took me a bit to get over that. But I think the next year it was even worse. If we're talking about crying in the shower, the next one was even worse because it was Assen again, and I loved Assen. It was a flowing track, suited my style. Front row, we're on the start line, and again 200,000 drunken Dutch people there. We're on the front row, and I think it was 86 dead engine. I think it was dead engine. Everyone stopped, and did a warm-up lap, came back to the start line, do the 3-minute board and all that sort of stuff. Race starts, we start, poof, and get to the far end of the track, and it's starting to rain. Everybody puts their hand up, so everybody slows down, comes back to the grid, parks up, bone dry. It's bone dry at the start and finish. So we stop, everybody stops. So all the people at the start and finish don't know what's going on. Basically, there's no phones on that day, no one can talk to it. So anyway, it's raining at that end of the track, so we stop and do the old stuff again. I don't think they had a warm-up lap again there. Anyway, start the race, back into the track, it's pissing down again. So everybody puts their hand up. So we come back to the grid. By now, all these pissed up Dutch guys are getting proper irate. They're not happy with this at all. So I'm sat there in the front row, and there's cans, like they're all throwing the cans at us on the grid. So there's a hailstorm of beer cans come flying on the grid. They're just so pissed off with us going decided to stop the race. And what's wrong with you, bloody? Anyway, so eventually got the race going. Had an amazing race, and Randy crashed. I was battling with Randy. It started to rain again, and my memory's a little bit misty on this one, but I'll try. Battling with Randy, and I was in third place, a really good problem. I think Ed had gone, and he crashed at the chicane. So, and then it started to rain a bit, so they stopped the race, and he could start the race again. So we stopped again, started the race again. I'm babbling a bit now, but we started the race again, and a mega race. Really finished third on the podium. I'm like, we've done it. Anyway, so to a point where I'm walking up the steps. I'm actually on the steps with.
Well, you got that far?
I'm on the steps waiting to go on the podium, and they fucking pulled me off and put Randy on. They got aggregate time. He beat me by flipping half a second or something. So not only did I crash out or miss out of it, I am actually virtually standing on the step of the Assen podium, the sacred Assen podium.
On the straight.
And then, sorry, we got it wrong. And just literally pulled me off and put the flipping Californian dwarf on in front of me. That was a bitter pill to swallow. That was
little things that just seem to transfer.
That was a little thing. That was a fairly major thing.
Well, yeah.
But again,
that timing thing. Yeah.
I was destined never to get the podium. So
yeah.
The only podium I did get on was a boycotted race in Misano, which I won. And I won a boycotted one. It was an Italian championship, which we went with Aggo. Aggo got loads of money, and I went and rode for him, and I won that one. So that was my only podium on the 500. I'll take it. I'm taking it.
Absolutely. A podium for Aggo. Yes.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. Just sort of fast forwarding, you went and went back over to Suzuki and this Kevin Schwantz chap. I mean, obviously, when I was growing up, this was like coming to like the later 80s now. This is when I really got into bike racing. And Kevin, his style of riding was spectacular, wasn't it? I mean, it was just so different, and you got to see it at close quarters, didn't you? Well,
it's that was again another. I mean, I've been so lucky in my career to have such a journey I had, and I loved every minute of it. I mean, you usually sort of think after you retire, and you sit back, years gone by, and you think, "Oh, that was great." That was a special time. I actually knew that when I was there, and I think
living it.
It's pretty rare that happens. Yeah, I was living it. I was living it all, and I was there. Freddie turned up, and Eddie, Rainey, Swans, Gardner. All he's doing. I knew it was a special time. And I was loving every part of it. So, so the next chapter was with Kevin, and I'd ridden for 2 years with the Yamaha, and then and I got the call to join Kevin. It was pretty much as a babysitter. I think I was sort of, I wasn't going to give anybody any trouble, and I was pretty handy at a bit of feedback, but I wasn't going to give. But so let's put Kevin with Rob, and Rob could show him around Europe and so on. But it's funny because I was staying with Ed that year in '87. In the beginning of '87, I went over to Ed's place and trained with him, and he'd heard about Kevin Swan. So obviously he knew Kevin Swan's American. He doesn't really race with him much because he was still doing the domestic stuff. But he's sort of talking down a little bit at the time because no one really knew what he could do. He'd been over and done a few wildcard type of things on not competitive 500s and stuff. So no one really knew. And I was going to be his teammate. So he's sort of, Suzuki, what a pile of crap. Kevin Swan, Jesus, come on. So, and I'm like, well, and I didn't know any different neither, really. But we that year, if I can elaborate on that year, I went to meet Kevin in Daytona. We did a few press stuff. I flew over to America to meet Kevin and his family, and great, lovely people. Jim and Shirley's mum and dad. Without Jim and Shirley, there would have been no Kevin Swans coming over. They really made it all work for him.
Wow.
Lovely people. Extreme Texan. Everything has to be done right. Everything has to be big. So got on with them really, really well. And then the next plan was to go testing in Japan with Kevin. I've been over to Japan, seen the bike. I'd come from the factory Yamaha, which is the best bike on the grid. But it's a relatively small team compared to the Hondas and stuff, but it's still the best bike on the grid. To now the Suzuki, which was they pulled out, and this was the year they were coming back. It's still a tiny team. The Japanese tiny setup. And Kevin, and my first test together with Kevin was at the Suzuki test track, Rio, and early on, end of February, from freezing cold, not very nice. And me and Kevin are there. Kevin's been there quite a lot. He's pretty fast there. He knew his way around there. I'd never been before, and flipping crap myself. It was a pretty scary track. But they took us out there. They brought these two factory Suzukis, and they look like you could build them in a shed compared to the Yamahas and the factory Hondas. They were really low budget type thing. They didn't look special at all. Anyway, so we go to Rio, and the whole racing team the engineers are there. There's probably about 12 of them. And Kevin's the man. He's going to be the man. And they have this little workshop in the middle of the circuit. It's just literally a circuit in this sort of trees and in the wooded area. And then this little workshop area in the middle. And they're all in there getting the bikes prepped up. And Kevin sets off and does about 6 laps to come and chit-chat. The Japanese chatting to them. Next thing, I'm in the pits, done a few laps, and I'm in the pits. And we hear Kevin coming. Next thing, silence. And then the bike comes past on its side about 100 miles an hour, and then Kevin comes after it. And this is like a chicane where we're working from. And he comes flying past on his arse. And the bike's upside down. And like, oh no, Kevin. Anyway, he broke his wrist. He crashed and broke his wrist within about 6 laps of the test. So this is like in February, whatever, before the first race in Japan, end of March. So he broke his wrist. It's like, oh my God. So he goes off and he leaves me to do the rest of the testing for the next couple of days. So I do all the testing, and then and it ain't brilliant, And I jumped off the best bike, and it wasn't brilliant, I have to say. But so I had to do the big debrief, and all Japanese are there. Rob-san, what do you think of bike? I'm like, maybe 10th position. Oh, what? honestly, you could have seen their faces like that. Like they built this bike, the big comeback, and we're going to be 10th position. What? Anyway, so but I told them that there's no point in telling what I didn't feel. So anyway, got to Japan. Kevin turned up with got his plaster off, and won the Grand Prix. So, so I think I finished 10th. So I wasn't feeling like, but with that again, without Kevin, Suzuki would never done what they did, and they know that, and everybody knew that the bike was far from competitive, but he was just the next level. He made that bike work, and he rode the thing like we'd never seen before. No one had ever seen anybody ride a bike like that before.
Yeah.
But super brave, super talented. Prepared to risk all. On a pretty uncompetitive bike.
Yeah.
And the history was made. It was amazing. And again, an amazing time to be around it all. There's no way I could ride that bike like that. No way. I think my best result all year was, I don't know, maybe a 6 or something like that. But there's no way I could ride that bike like that.
It was,
but again, it was brilliant to be around, and that was such a fun year. He was such a funny guy to have around, and the family and all that. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Very annoying.
I guess it's great that you knew at the time that you were, that you were part of something that was.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it. Yeah.
As you say, with hindsight, there's a lot of drivers and riders say, looking back, that was incredible, but I didn't really enjoy it at the time for whatever reason. But it was great that you actually were
the different mentality. I think, and like I say, I think I never really got over the thought of that. I shouldn't really be there. It's like, but I think if you're like if you're a foggy or you're them sort of guys who definitely thinks that they're going to be there and deserve to be there, and they're ruthless, that's the way you need to be. I don't think I would have like that. I don't think I would have done any better, but I definitely had a bit too much respect for everybody. I think, but, but.
I guess there's a lot of riders that
I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything other than being, if I was the same size as Neil McKenzie, that would have been nice.
Yeah, a bit more slight. Yeah. Just to sort of push on a bit from them. You did a bit in the World Superbikes. Did some racing. I mean, what was the sort of the difference there between those bikes?
God.
Obviously these days the World Superbikes are more electronic. There's more of that kind of stuff going on. What was the differences there when you were there?
Oh my God! It was like I jumped on the OW01, which is a lovely bike. But one of the first times I rode it, it was like a big mattress. And it's where you ride a 500, and it'd be like you go around the corner and. You might think you're getting close to the edge, and then before you know it, you're upside down, and you splat, and you're picking gravel out your ass. Where you ride the superbike, and you go around, you flick it into Craner, and it'll tell you when you get to Swansea's or McLean's, I might just push the front a little bit. Just be ready, won't you? It's like getting second-class mail coming. Everything was so slow and so predictable. It was brilliant. It's like, oh my God, this is great fun. You can abuse it again. You can, where the 500 just, if you even thought about it, it just slapped you. But that thing is, they're only 125 horsepower, something like that. But they were really good fun. But it was just like, bloody hell, I'll have a fag while I'm going around. It's so docile compared to the 500s.
Yeah.
The 500 is, everything is so stiff. Everything's so changeable. You can really dial it in. But the fine line of being able to ride it and be able to get the best out of it is fine. Where the sort of area of a superbike was so wide, it was so forgiving. It was brilliant. Still managed to crash it quite a lot, but but yeah, that year I had a good fun year. The deal was it was Loctite Yamaha, and I would do World Superbike and then the British ones, and then Terry would do the British the World Superbike, and the British ones didn't clash, and Terry would do the British ones and the World ones didn't clash. So we had great fun. It was a great. We had a couple of years together, me and Terry. It was brilliant. Two big lads together.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
Got some same way as me. He had the same problem as me.
Yeah. No, cracking. I mean, so much we could talk about. And I don't want to
I
keep
know it's half past. It's 9:45 already.
I know there's so much. I have to skip over some bits because with time and everything. But obviously, you've gone on the world stage and you've had a fantastic time and ridden against some amazing riders and with some fantastic manufacturers and teams and everything. But you came back to the British scene in the British Superbikes. Was that just a circumstance at the time, or was it always the plan to come back home, as it were, and race?
I don't. It was all not really. I think the end of 88 with Suzuki, I got let go. I thought possibly I was going to stay another year, but I got let go really late. I didn't know much about it until really late. Gary Taylor stitched me up, gave me a P45 really late in the day. There was not. I don't know if I really would have got much anyway, because I was sort of I'd done my time there, and I think I wasn't a new kid on the block anymore. And a lot of these 250 guys are coming through now, deciding to work out how to ride them a little bit. So they probably want any options. So I got let go, and then I couldn't really find anything. And it was one of them where, bloody hell, I've had a good run. I don't really want to retire yet. I mean, I could have done, I guess, and got a job or done something, but didn't really want to retire. But I didn't have anything at all. And then Clive Paget, had a chat with Clive Paget, and we got a race together, and we put a bit of a project together to do World Superbike. We started on an RC30, which didn't suit me at all, and we started the year on that, and then had a crash at the first World Superbike round. The World Superbike round. I can't know if you remember seeing a picture of me running over Hizzy. Hizzy fell off
his head, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hizzy fell off in front of me, and I ran straight over his head. And he got off unscathed, and I broke a bone in my wrist. So that was Donington, Donington 89. So that should have been it, really. I didn't really have a ride. The Paget's thing was there if I wanted it. Just came back, broke my wrist. Didn't really have anything. Didn't have a wage. Had bits and bobs from my leathers and my helmet, stuff like that. And then really, probably a lesser person might have just said that'll do, because I've had a good run. I was never going to go back to Grand Prix again. I was never going to have that sort of feeling or enjoyment. So he probably could have rolled over and that'll do. But I don't know. I just didn't want to, and I still got. I could earn a little bit and enough to survive and do okay with, type of thing. But I just didn't want to stop. So it got crazy then. I had a cast on my hand, and I said to Clive, the RC30, you can't ride that. It's just not competitive enough. Let's get an OW. So he says, all right then. So we got an OW, and from Andy Smith from Yamaha helped us out. And then I ran my old mate Dave Junior Collins if he could build the engine. And honestly, you won't believe this, but my old garage had a shitbox little garage at home, and I converted it into a decent workshop with the cast on still. Got this OW from Yamaha in a box. Decorated it, took the engine down to. Got a couple of local guys helping me, some mates helping me convert the garage and what have you. Then Paget's 508 diesel Merc came, and it was a complete shed on wheels, and I repaired all that. And honestly, think about it now. I mean, it worked out all right because I had a great time again. But thinking about what I was doing, and I was doing all this. Because the next round was like 3 weeks, and it was Hungarian, and so I had a cast on, and we had 3 weeks, or maybe 4 weeks to get this. I wanted to ride RC30. Paget's was up for it. We got this bike, took the engine down to Junior. He built the engine, got the engine back, put it together. Literally, it was a road bike. Got a pipe, got some suspension, loaded it up in my 508 diesel, my caravan on the back. Drove to Hungary with a couple of mates from Scunny. Drove to Hungary, and got on the podium. It was crackers, and I got to Hungary. Never been there before. Loved it. It was great fun. Wow. Had a massive battle with the Aussies, Malcolm Campbell, and I got on the podium. And it's like, oh, and I cut my cast off. I got there, cut the cast off, And I didn't really know if I was going to ride or not, to be fair. This is how mental it was. Drove, I cut the cast off, got on the bike. Yeah, it was okay. Qualified all right. Managed to get on the podium. And just crackers. And then driving home, I got the phone call from HRC to take on Bubba Shelbert's ride.
Oh,
So, yeah. So the 89, I finished off on the cabin Honda. And
wow.
But leading up to that, I say I would have done that Superbike year somehow. Somehow I would have made it work. You know, Padges were up for helping me. Obviously, you didn't get a wage, but I managed to find some sponsors and bits and bobs and kept going. And it was one of them, like, you know, really could have just put my feet up a little bit and stayed. I've had a good run, got a few quid, you know, just chill out a little bit. But just I was only 30 or something. Didn't really want to do that. Didn't have any qualifications to do anything. So, and then did that and then got that call up for the 89. That was, you know, I got an earner again and had quite good fun on that bike. The bike, you know, it was Gardner's 88 bike. So it was a real beast of a bike.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty bit of work. But I did quite enjoy it. Good another little young team. It was sad circumstances with Bubba getting hurt. I knew Bubba quite well. So that was a bit sad that happened. But yeah, it was quite a good year. Never, you know, ironically, I pretty much matched all Gardner's times that year on that bike.
Right.
But the thing had moved. It was the year of the Big Bang. The Big Bang Hondas came out, and they just went on. Just everything went another level. So I was like, you know, running in 10th position around that sort of place. But I got another year out of GPs, and then came back to England, and again had a great time with Yamaha. Riding back at home again, had fantastic fun with Terry. We had a great team, great laugh together. Took a couple of years, did a few rounds. He was on fire. He was super fast. You know, I got on a Sacred World podium at long last at anyway Hockenheim of all places,
Germany,
and New Zealand. So I managed to get on a world stage podium eventually, but yeah. So I've had a good run.
Yeah, brilliant.
Everybody will be asleep now. All these old boys will be asleep now.
Be all right. Nah, be fine.
I have to finish it off. I have to do all the fun stories another time.
Yeah, we're going to just want to wind down a little bit.
We could just do a Swan Series podcast. That last hours. We've got a lot of stories for the Aussies.
That's an idea. Yeah, all the Swans and all the backstory. Yeah. Just what I want to touch on though was your team management time in the BSB. You kind of inherited a team, and it sort of, but I mean, it was the Virgin Media, which then became the Boost and all that kind of thing. Just something that I've always been interested in was getting non-motorsport brands into motorsport. That can't have been easy. I mean, and you had some young riders coming through, and it was just there was a lot going on, wasn't there, when you took the team over?
Well, I took the team over from Steve Parrish, who was running the team, and he had loads of things going on. I don't think he was really, you know, he was commentating, he was truck driving, I think, and doing loads of stuff. So it worked out well for Yamaha. It was Yamaha's team, and they were funding it all. And they asked me if I'd take it on, so I took it on as a player manager, if you like. I was still riding. Yeah. So that's how that happened, and then that just grew. I mean, they landed the Boost deal. When did that? Yeah, they landed the Boost deal. They had a company outsourcing, if you like, a management company for the sponsors, and they ended up getting a fantastic portfolio of sponsors with Boost, Cadbury's Boost as a title sponsor, and with so many other good names on there. And we had 3 amazing years where we won the championship 3 times with Neil, Chris Walker and Steve Islop, and we just had such a fantastic time. And they were brilliant times then. I mean, Neil was one of my best mates on the series, and so was James and Chris and Izzy. We were all pretty good buddies, and the racing was brilliant. And we dominated. The bike was brilliant. Neil was on fire. Neil totally loved that bike. So that was great time. But then it just stopped like that. You know, we lost all the sponsorship. Boost pulled out. Everybody sort of fell out. We didn't have anything. And then the Virgin thing is a bit of a long story of that. But the Virgin thing happened just as a support for Neil the first year, with a view to a big launch of something in 2000. At the time, I couldn't tell us what it was, but I knew that if I got the Virgin people along, they were going to love bikes. You know, they're that sort of people who were so sort of, you know, they love the passion and seeing all that in the bike world. They loved it. And I knew if I could get them there, we could convince them. And that's what happened. We managed to get them along, and they flipping loved it. And then they launched Virgin Mobile, and that was it. We was away with them, and they used us. They had big budgets to promote the new brand through bikes, and they came along, and they did 12 years, I can't remember now, but we had a fantastic time with them. Brilliant. And then, say, moving on to the R6 Cup time when we brought the youngsters through again, that was fantastic. You know, giving these youngsters a chance. You know, when we dreamed it up, it was something with Andy Smith and I were talking about. You know, the RD Cup back in the day when all the bikes are totally even and the guys with a bit of talent come to the top, and could we do this? And then we started talking about could we do it at this stage with R6s, and it snowballed then into the R6 Cup, and Virgin loved the idea of it. They absolutely loved the idea, so they owned it, if you like, and then you know, it was an easy sell to a certain degree to like Stuart Higgs, the circuit, the organisers, because we were replacing the junior super stock, which turned into a little bit of a cheating fest. So you get guys with loads of monies, and the bikes, a lot of bikes were so dodgy and so fast, and there's certain guys could go off to Spain with 2 or 3 bikes practicing, and there's one guy in a tranny van trying to do it, and it was meant to be like that. It was meant to be for the starters and pretty even. So you know, we said that we'd run the series, we'd make all the bikes identical, you know, we'd police it, we'd do everything. And he's like, well, it's a blessing in disguise. So that's how it set up, and it was the intention to make it totally even, to give everybody a really good fair chance, and really low cost. Virgin was supporting it, Yamaha was supporting it, and it was a fantastic success. You know, and like for Tommy Hill, who won it the first year, it was his last roll of the dice, no question. You know, I think his family had put everything into it. You know, he got to where it was just by scraping through, and this was it. And he managed to put the funds together, and it was his last chance. And he managed to win it that year, and that was it. He was away then. He got the break. I mean, it was like, you know, the chance that the R6 Cup was like, you know, you come from Scunthorpe United and you're straight into the Premiership, you know. So it was giving these guys a great chance. I mean, Carl Kutzlow finished second that year, and there's no question he would have gone on, but I don't think he would have gone on as fast as what he did through the stage the R6 Cup would give him. A lot of them guys got big breaks after that. Yeah. So it was great. But that said, we need a bit of time to talk about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about Tommy Hill, and was it Tommy Hill and Cal Crutchlow, was it? At
the first year that was a good year. That was a great year. That was really strong. But then the Aussies, a few Aussies came over. They could see that it was a real good deal, and a few Aussies come over. Billy McConnell, he won it 1 year, I think, and Brendan, kind of the Aussie guy. But they all went on to get good jobs, and you know they had a good. So it was a great series, and the fans loved it.
Yeah,
the fans loved it. You know, Virgin got behind it and put it on Channel 4, and it got great exposure. So it was good. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a great proving ground for a lot of young riders. Absolutely brilliant. Obviously, we'll have to have another chat at the time, but I was just wondering how you kept Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Whittam in check. I bet that was fun.
It was easy, totally easy. They were brilliant guys. They're absolutely brilliant. They're best of mates, and you know, ruthless as hell on the track, and that's how it was. And but off the track, it's such a great year. All those years were brilliant. Neil and Izzy didn't get on that well, but it was still a mega year. You know, Izzy was you know, a really good guy. But that was a tricky year. But like Walker and McKenzie and Whittam and McKenzie, it was just brilliant. You know, I said, like, you're going to work every weekend with your best mates, and you're winning every weekend. So what's not to like?
Perfect.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, perfect stuff. Just going to wind down. I did see a few comments coming in, which I'm just going to pick a few on. We've got a few people saying that, you know, they used to love watching you on the Yamahas, and the dads used to love watching you on Yamahas.
The dads, yeah.
Well, a couple of the younger lads have said that. Where are we? Let's have a very quick look. Someone did say, Stephen Hand, nice comment from Stephen Hand. He said you're a top man. He said you had a great night together in the officers' mess at RAF Curtin in Lindsay, meeting the last surviving dam buster, Johnny Johnson. Two legends.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah, that was amazing.
Right?
Yeah, he was an amazing guy. And he could talk you through the dam busters like it was yesterday. It was amazing. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Fantastic. Yeah. Right, there was a couple of questions I'm just going to finish off with. We must schedule another one of these for all the silly stories and all the fun stuff. We need to do that because I can't wait for that. Which would be cool. Just very quickly, someone did ask this. Excuse me. Thomas Parker. Evening, Thomas. He has said, "What was your favourite bike you ever rode?"
It's got to be the. Well, I guess you'd expect the YZR 500, but I think the best memory was the XR69, the big diesel. It was just such a fun bike. It was my first factory bike. It was my first factory team. Fell in love with the bike, fell in love with the team, and totally gelled with it. So, and then I rode it all year, short circuit, and take it to the Isle of Man. It was such a cool bike to ride at the Isle of Man. So I fell in love with that one. I wish I had a chance to get one as well when I finished with Suzuki, but I never did. So it'd be nice to have kept one of those. But that was my favourite bike.
Brilliant, cracking machine. Similar kind of tack. Did you have a favourite circuit that you used to go on? Obviously, we've mentioned Assen and Isle of Man. I think was there a favourite circuit of yours that you always used to enjoy racing at, regardless of a result?
Yeah, well, Monza was. I love the Salzburg and all that, but Monza was my favourite. And I know we've had the chat with Terry. He loves Bordeaux. Spa. But that was way too scary for me. But Monza, a little bit boring, I guess. But just arriving there, you go through the old town, and you go through the tunnel, and you pop up the other side, and the old banking is going off in the distance with weeds growing through it. It's just unbelievable. Just as soon as you arrive there, you're on fire. Your whole body is on fire, and then as soon as you roll out the gate,
there's just a
golf course
history.
The whole history and everything. Just the whole park. You're in this beautiful park in the middle of Monza. There's a golf course, and then you go. You're on your bike, and there's famous names written on the walls, and still paint on the track of F1 drivers and stuff. It's just fantastic. I love it, and I always rode well there. I think again, once you love somewhere like that, you tend to do your best. I think, but I did love that one, and I like the pasta as well.
Just very good on Monza. Did you find you couldn't find your way in? There's no signpost.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, imagine in your motorhomes.
I was in a hire car and I saw a signpost for Monza. I was in Milan. And I went, Monza. Oh God, how did I not think of that? And I went up there. I said, I'll go and have a look.
No, you can't find it. Yeah, it's just a little gate in the wall, isn't it? But, there's
a sign behind a tree type thing.
There's a train of motorhomes going up and down trying to find the way. Yeah, that's a good point.
They were doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just me. Super. Right. Very quickly. Final question. This is a terrible one. You've raced against many great names that you've said that you enjoyed racing against at the time. I'm just going to name a few that you've raced. Obviously, Steve Hislop and guys like Trevor Nation. I've got Steve Plater written here. I don't know if I should include him. No, we like Steve. Steve's great.
Against though, race.
But yeah, we've got like John. John Bennett. We've got Chris Walker, Christian Saron, Whittam. Raymond Roche, Baldwin, Garriga, Burnett.
Got a mix there.
You got Keeley, Rainey. Gardner, Doohan, Roberts, Lawson, Schwantz, Momola, Spencer, the Dunlops, Foggy. Goodness me. You've raced against some top guys. Is there any? For any reason that sticks out in your mind as being, I don't know, particularly quick or tough or talented or brave or daft or anything like that?
Well, there's loads who fit each one of those descriptions, I guess, in different ways. I think I don't know. I think for me, Ed was the special one. I think. Rainey turned up, and he was. I was a massive fan of Rainey, but I think. Ed, just the way he did things, and just sort of how cool he was, and he couldn't see it. You won't be able to see it from the trackside. Where if you watch Kevin or you watch Gardner, even Rainey a little bit, you see a little bit of sideways action, or you see a little bit of backing in, and maybe missing the odd exit. You couldn't see it with Eddie. From the trackside you wouldn't see it, but if you were following him, he his wheel, his rear wheel would be 2 or 3 inches out of line, and it's just beautiful, and he would do it, and he'd do it all day long. He's just such a perfectionist, and the way he would float the bike around. I mean, one race at I saw a picture on Twitter actually at Anderstorp in Sweden, and it was I think it was the year he won the World Championship. I think it was, but he set off and I was behind him, and he was just so slow. He just couldn't. He was fast, but like going into all the corners, he was so slow and was ramming him. It's like for 3 or 4 laps, he's like, "Fucking hell, Ed, what's wrong?" And then all of a sudden, he just started taking off, and then eventually he'd won the race by 10 seconds more. And then afterwards, I said, what happened in the first 3 or 4 laps? What happened? He said, "I just couldn't get the front tire warm." I'm like, if that was me, I would be in the bushes, no question. And I think probably most of the field haven't got that feel where it just wasn't right, and he's waiting and waiting and waiting. He's still running, he's still right there, hanging on, but you could tell it wasn't right. And then it would click, and then he'd just gone. He's just all of a sudden he's head again on the side, scrubbing the speed, firing it out. But until he was happy with it and he knew where he was. That was just amazing feel that guy had.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's the feel for the bike, the speed, and just know.
Well, I think Kevin, those guys were amazing. I think Kevin had the same sort of thing. He pushed it a bit harder. I think he had this. It'd be interesting to ever, if you could have saw Kevin on a better bike. Be interesting to see what that would. I think the Yamaha would have really suited him. I don't know about the Honda. The Honda's a bit of a monster. But he was again. He was on. He would get away with loads, and his front end feel was amazing. And then Rainey turned up, and he was. When those two turned up, there was just total chalk and cheese. Kevin was just sideways and bashing everything, and Rainey was super smooth and mantequilla. So, but yeah. I think for me, Ed, I think. Out of all the guys I've ridden with, he'd be the special one.
Yeah, terrific. That's great stuff.
He's pretty handy on a motocross. Pretty handy on a motocross bike as well. I go motocross with him. I go ride with him around the track. I probably do 2 or 3 laps, and I'm arm pumped, sweating, can't do anything. He'd fill a tank of gas and just ride it to the tank out for an hour. Unbelievable, like proper Ricky Johnson level. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Just a proper rider.
And here I am, fat bloke from Scunny.
I've
grown up on a bull taco in some muddy gullies somewhere, So,
yeah, slightly different.
Bit different.
Yeah, but you ended up in the same place, which that's very, very cool. Very cool.
It was cool.
Yeah, great stuff. It's 2 hours. It's absolutely flown by. It's absolutely flown.
I told you. I end up telling stories, and then it just, before you know it. So we enter an East One series. Any rude stuff, any crashing, any slagging any mates. I've done any of that, so we have to do it again.
Absolutely, and I am here for it. I love it. I could talk all night, but we'll have to do another one because I'd love to hear about all that as well. I'm sure everyone else would as well. But it's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant speaking with you. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in for the comments. I've seen them all and the questions. But yeah, thank you very much, Rob, for coming on.
Enjoyed it.
Brilliant.
I've enjoyed it, drifting back. I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll try and sort something out for the new year or something. We'll have a.
It took us 2 years to get this together, so I'll not hold my breath.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. We have set a ball rolling, so we'll sort it.
All right,
great stuff. Right. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. And thanks again to you, Rob. And we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you.